Once upon a time, Standard rotated every 2 years. You build your deck, fall in love, and cry quietly when it rotated. Simple. Back then, Standard didn't cost $800.
But then Wizards said, oh no, bestie. Let's keep cards for 3 years so players feel better about investing in paper. But players felt burnt out by rapid rotations. Once you built the deck, it quickly became obsolete. Extend rotation 3 years so players could use cards longer and reduce cost of entry. Sweet, right?
Except, now we're stuck with this hellscape of VV Cauldron mirrors, and where every combo piece that should have rotated is thriving. Decks like VV Cauldron rely on cards that would have rotated under the old system, like Agatha's Soul Cauldron, and it wouldn't exist at this moment. That rotation delay is fueling current imbalance.
And Agatha's Soul Cauldron, girl, you were supposed to be gone. You were supposed to rotate out. Instead, you're here breaking the meta like it owes you rent.
This isn't a format, it's a hostage situation. I'm Hermes, that's Figure Base. Let's jump into the tea.
So, 2-year rotations aren't just nostalgia, they're balance insurance. Back when Standard rotated every 2 years, there was a natural reset button every fall. Sure, you had to invest some money, but that's what we have Pioneer for. A lot of those cards saw play in that now neglected format. Do you think the 3-year rotation experiment was actually about helping players, or was it just a marketing ploy to sell more packs over a longer window?
I mean, the weird thing is that they were still not printing these sets longer. So technically, Wilds of Eldraine is nearing the end of its print run, and even though it's going to be in the rotation for Standard for the next 2 years or next year and a half, and it's just going to be more of the same with LCI and a lot of those sets that were at the beginning of what has become this current format. And honestly, that's just going to make Cauldron's price even worse once they officially stop printing it.
Yeah.
And again, like you referenced with Pioneer, I'm sure y'all can tell I'm a big supporter of the format. It's a really good place for a lot of these cards. Standard is powerful enough that most cards printed into Standard do make at least some waves in Pioneer. So why not have that format be a place where you can play a lot of these more pushed cards as they rotate out a bit earlier,
Yeah, I definitely agree. 3-year rotation sounded player friendly on paper. More time with your cards, less pressure to buy new stuff. But let's be real. The meta is stale, same decks for months, sometimes years now, and the ban list is bloated. When you have to ban 7 cards before you release a new set, there's definitely an issue. New sets can't shake up things because we're competing against 3 years of busted design. Wizards is continuing to put out pushed cards because they want to sell more packs with Universes Beyond, and they're just shoving Universes Beyond cards and Commander cards into these sets. And so now that we have this 3-year rotation, we're just, I don't know, what was it, Hermes? We have like 3,000 something cards in Standard right now or something.
Oh, yeah. We'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into that later.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous just how big Standard is, especially given that we have Foundations serving as kind of a baseline for the next bit as well. And, these long rotations, it's just really extended the suffering when you have a set of broken cards. 2-year rotation wasn't perfect, but it did keep the game pretty dynamic, and it gave Standard a pretty clear rhythm. Fall reset, winter kind of spices things up, and then spring is when you have the chaos, and then a summer of a lame duck format with maybe like the new quote-unquote core set coming out.
Now, here's another throwback idea. 4 standard legal sets a year. Back in the block era, we had a fall set, a winter set, a spring set, and a summer/core set, and that cadence gave the meta breathing room to evolve.
Yeah, each set felt really important. Players had a reason to care about Standard in those specific times during release. 4 big sets a year gave a pretty healthy churn. It let the format settle and then get spiced, settle and then get spiced without getting this like constant preview cycle where you continue to brew more and more and more and more decks. And, you know, as we said with the size of standard, y'all want to know what the size of standard was for the largest size during this window? We had Ixalan to Core 20. That was the largest standard would have been in a 2-year rotation. It had 2,022 cards. Edge of Eternity standards, a fresh rotation, has 3,251. 50% bigger. Final Fantasy standard, right before rotation, 4,095. More than double the pre-Fire era design. That's kind of bad. That's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of got this started. Do we think this is a good idea, or is it gonna? Do we just have too much damage from the product overload as well?
So, I really do think the damage has already been done. As we saw with SUGCon Orlando, and if you guys can watch our video that we put out last Monday, you know, the attendance was abysmal. I think in total, I was talking to my contact over at Card Monster, and, you know, he was telling me that, yeah, I think there's maybe like 700 people, and I think most of them are just playing in the main event. Like, that's an insanely low number. And hopefully Wizards will see that, like, hey, people aren't going to your events anymore. Like, you need to change something. And I really think going back to, like, the 4 sets, like the block era, like, maybe just keeping, like, there has to be a compromise where we can go back to blocks, but also keep Universes Beyond in tow, you know, like they can have their own special sets if they like, or put it back to secret layers. But, you know, before, that's when like mechanics actually mattered, you know, like now there's so many sets and there's all these different mechanics, but like you can't build around them anymore. Like there's no like coalescence within the sets anymore. Like we have, you know, also the battle cards. We got a new card and we haven't seen it since Invasion or like, no, since March of the Machines. We haven't seen like battle cards come back in. Like, what was the point? Like, you gave us a brand new card type and we're never seeing them again. Like, we're getting all these mechanics, we're never seeing them again. We saw Exhaust in this most recent set, at least for Spider-Man. I think we have some Exhaust cards, but that's about it. What about all the other mechanics that we've been seeing over? Like, we had like the manifest, we had the the Duskborn set, the Duskborn.
Oh yeah,
like,
Manifest Dread. We had the rooms. We had all this other stuff. It seems like Wizards is more focusing on macro mechanics as opposed to like named micro mechanics. So macro mechanics is in Graveyard Matters decks as opposed to Manifest Dread, stuff like that, which it is pretty nice given that it's more flexible and it can go into more different shells, but at the same time really cool and interesting mechanics like Warp. I would love Warp to come back in a couple other sets and you have this really sick Warp deck. But, you know, probably not gonna happen.
Yeah, like I don't think Spider-Man did get a new mechanic, I think.
Web slinging, yeah. Which is basically another fixed ninjutsu, just like Warp is a fixed what is it? Evoke. That's the one. That's the one that we all know from Modern, right?
Yes, yeah, we know that one. But yeah, that's what I think. I think something needs to change because we're losing players and people aren't playing Standard anymore. We're moving on.
It's reminding me a lot of, I remember there was a time, I forget if it was like Cawblade Standard or something like that, where it was just getting so ridiculous that Wizards actually decided to change one of their philosophies to make sure that they did save their format and bring people back in.
Right.
But realistically, it was mostly because it was hurting sales, not because of format health.
Yeah, I'm sure with the SUGCon, you know, attendance, people like Wizards is going to realize, I think we're damaging the faith we have that the players have in us. Because, I mean, take our team for example. We're just gonna practice Modern. We're gonna get ready for SUGCon Houston for the Modern RC. We're just kind of giving up on Standard. You know, like a couple of us have the broken VV deck, and we're still going to hit up RCQs and try to spike them. But other than that, I think as a whole, the players are just done with standard. Like we're
Yeah.
like this is it. This like we've given Wizards too many chances, and this is the final straw. Like we're not going to buy your product anymore. At least competitors aren't going to buy your product anymore. We're just going to go back to eternal formats and leave standard alone. You can have your universes beyond money to yourself. I don't think players are going to partake anymore.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of it just comes down to the commanderification of the constructed formats. And again, like 6 standard sets a year is mostly to fulfill the need for putting every single card through standard. These commanders specific cards have no business being jammed into all of these standard sets. They have products designed for them. They have commander decks, which haven't been announced for our 2 most recent Universes Beyond sets, which is concerning for the commanderification of everything.
Yeah,
we don't need more cards like VV just, saying build me as an EDH deck, and then they break formats.
Exactly. Like, why is every mythic just like this super broken, flashy, that like creature that just screams, make a commander deck around me? You know, like standard is supposed to be tight, competitive, tempo focused, not a sandbox for splashy multiplayer only effects. And it's like they didn't learn from Nadu. They printed VV. It's like, did you guys not learn at all? Like you're like, oh yeah, this card was supposed to be, this is designed for commander. Then why did you print it in a modern, straight to modern set? And they're doing the same thing with Universes Beyond with VV. Like VV Order 2 was very clearly a card designed for commander.
Yeah. And again, commander can be commander. We like that format exists. It does drive people into the more competitive side because it's easier to get brought in through the casual side. Kind of the pipeline of plays D&D with a play group decides to try Magic the Gathering as commander, and then 1 or 2 of them are going to get the competitive itch and switch to competitive. Great, we got some new folks to grind against. But we just want to let's let commander be commander and not kind of mix the two nearly as much. We're supposed to be having all these precons per new set release, so you can print all these commander cards there. The Commander Legends products were sick. I really enjoyed drafting them, and other specialty sets. Keep it up with those. Don't put those cards in standard. And if you don't have to hijack standard design, you can actually print cards that are interesting for standard.
Yeah, and then like when standard cards are built for commander first, and Warp's design, competitive decks get stuffed with auto includes or like dead cardboard. Either way, it hurts 60 card formats. And Wizards, we know you like making money, right? Just print commander only sets. Like, just make money there. Like, your standard, like, have faith in your competitive players. We will buy your product if it's meant for standard and not just commander. Like, I get it. I love Commander 2. I had like 15 commander decks at one point, and I still have,
only 15.
Only 15.
Really, at my peak, I had like 23. Most of them proxy for what it's worth, but I had like 23 decks, and I still have a couple laying around. But yeah,
I think I have like 5 commander decks left, and then one of them is fully proxied. But yeah, like we love commander. We play the game. It's a really fun casual experience. To hang out with your friends. It's a Magic the Gathering of the board game. Pretty much is kind of how I like to explain it. And we love the format. No hate to commander players out there, but it would be great to keep those players who are competitive, who are buying passes to your conventions, who are playing in your main events, that you're broadcasting, like the Pro Tour, the regional championships, these SUG Con Spotlight series. Like, we are the ones that are going there and putting money into those events.
Yeah, speaking of worlds and all that fun stuff, last time I can really think of these, standard focused mythics being printed was back in when Worlds 2020 came around. the Core 20 Cavalier Cycle was a phenomenal set of mythics.
Mm-hmm.
Those cards were the top end of the Jeskai Fires deck that got second in the hands of Marcio Carvalho, I believe. Editor, please double check me there. That deck was super sweet. You got to play both Cavalier of Flames and Cavalier of Gales, and honestly cast both in the same turn when you only had 5 lands. That was pretty sick. And even more so down the line, now we're casting Cavalier of Thorns and Pioneer on turn 3, helped out by some Elves, some Cures, etc. These cards are really, really cool for Constructed, and they sold packs for Constructed because they had solid mythics that were not easy to come by. You know, give us more of those. I'm sure we'd love to have another Cav cycle, another Titan cycle.
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, speak of the Titan cycle.
I mean, they've already given us Eldrazi. Let's just, like, Commander players love to play Eldrazi decks. Like just give us, like, Commander players will still buy your product, Wizards, even if it's not designed for Commander, because they're still good and well-designed Magic the Gathering cards.
Yep. Yeah. And we've also proven that, like, these very cool, powerful mythic cycles still work. Look at the Overlord cycle. Can we get stuff like that more often? Because Overlords are effectively the newest incarnation of the Titan cycle.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. That was the tea for you. Magic was honestly thriving with the 2-year rotation cycle. It had a good balance across formats with Modern, and it was just before, Pioneer came out. 4 meaningful standard sets a year. Standard was designed for Standard, and it was spectacular.
Yeah, the Format's Identity Crisis is Wizards' own making. Stop overloading it with Commander candy, stop stretching sets for 3 years, and stop trying to fix it with bans after the damage is already done.
And if you won't, realistically, it's just going to be worse and worse. Players are going to stop playing in these SCG cons, in these opens, all this other stuff, or at least stop playing Standard specifically, which y'all have mentioned is the format you want to push the most right now.
Get it together, Watsy.
I think that is an understatement. But yeah, folks, sound off in the comments. What do you think about 3-year rotation? How many sets we're getting per year for Standard, the commanderification of it all? Let's definitely have a conversation down below. You're going to hear from Bee and myself and maybe some of the other folks in the Rebellion.
And while you're down there, tell us what deck you're stuck playing, because nothing else is viable at the moment. Misery loves company, babe.
Yep. And, like, share, sub, hit the bell, check out our other shows that the Rebellion has cooking up. Yeah.
And until next time, cheers!
Cheers.